Today's episode is brought to you by the Whole Life Decluttering Workshop, featuring a proprietary 6-step system, the Simple System, to help you declutter your life in a way that will last. Purchase this workshop on demand and receive the video training and dedicated workbook at positivelyproductive.com/resources. Are you a person that needs the things that surround you? Do you feel like they honor your space, or do they distract you and make you feel more frustrated than focused? You might be used to it, but it's good to take a look with fresh eyes and consider if your environment is really feeding into your goals and where you want to go and how you want to live. You're listening to the Positively Living Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Zaratny, founder of Positively Productive Systems and a productivity coach certified in positive psychology and stress management. Join me as we explore ways to live a more proactive, positive life with episodes on productivity, self-awareness, mindset, entrepreneur life, habits and systems, simplicity, fun, and more. I understand overwhelm personally as a multi-passionate entrepreneur, wife and mom to kids and cats, and as a caregiver. I'm here to help you choose what's right for you so you can do less, live more, and breathe easier. Sound good? Let's get to it. Welcome to the Positively Living Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa, and I'm dedicated to helping you live a more positive, productive life. One of the ways I do that is through decluttering, which is a topic that has threaded its way through this podcast since the very beginning. Clutter comes in all forms and can be found in all aspects of our lives, which is why I encourage whole life decluttering. I'm a big believer in cleaning out closets and getting organized in the traditional sense. I do love a good spring cleaning, but I don't want us to miss all the areas we hold on to things that do not serve us, and as such, make our lives more difficult. It's one of the simplest ways to live better, by releasing what doesn't serve. If you're a fan of decluttering, be sure to check out the declutter playlist on the podcast page of the positivelyproductive.com website. You can also search for particular episodes and topics with keywords like declutter or clutter on that page, and you'll find a collection of the blog posts with embedded players on each page. The blog post can be especially helpful for an episode like 246, A Simple Way to Reduce Clutter and Stress, which includes my simple system framework for creating your own personalized decluttering system. This framework is intended to help you create something I call filters. Just as a physical filter helps you keep what you want and discard what you don't, a filter for decluttering will help you see what works in a space in your life and figure out what belongs and what doesn't. Filters are created by your values, preferences, and goals. Examples could include traditional filters like knowing the purpose of a room to know what belongs in it, which is a very simple approach to something like a kitchen, but it's a very effective approach. So it's a place where you prepare and consume food. So you have food, appliances, plates, storage, and such. But for us, for our family, it's also a meeting area. It is the place where we get ready for school in the morning and the last place we leave before we leave the house. So it functions also as a partial mudroom. So we have backpack storage and a command center in our kitchen as well. Those things belong. Filters for other spaces can vary. So I'll go through 4 areas today to help you consider what could apply to your life. I realize that figuring all this out can be a challenge, which is why clients work with me. So at the end of the episode, I will share more resources and options. For now, we'll start with a very simple question you can ask yourself, and I encourage you to ask it repeatedly. The question is, does this serve me? In a previous episode about habits that energize you, I talked about why I think energy management is more important than time management. Energy management is about understanding and optimizing our personal energy levels. Once you're able to assess your energy levels, as well as figure out what energizes you and what drains you, You'll quickly spot things you're holding on to that you may need to release so that you can thrive. As you consider the places that I'm going to describe in your life, I want you to ask the question, does this serve me? And consider your energy, because sometimes that can be the simplest tell for something that works or doesn't. And I think you know what I mean, where you can say, is this working for me? And if you feel jazzed and excited and you feel better after you do something, you know that works for you. But if it's something where you feel absolutely drained. You are so exhausted when you're done. You're exhausted even thinking about it. That's a tip that tells you that that may not be right for you. Okay, let's review the 4 areas in your life that you can ask yourself this question. And the categories I cover are going to be people, things, tasks, and thoughts. Let's start with number 1, people. Consider the people in your life, those that are closest to you, especially the ones that surround you day to day. Consider who you follow on social media, the podcasts you listen to, hi, and the YouTube videos you watch. Who are you letting into your world, into your space, into your innermost thoughts? Who's in your ear telling you what to do, what to think, encouraging you, discouraging you? Are these relationships supportive of who you are and what you want to do? Do they feed into your goals or do they feed into your anxiety? For instance, if you're trying to cultivate a positive mindset, are you surrounding yourself with people who uplift you or those who constantly complain and bring you down? Or perhaps you follow social media accounts that, even if they don't intend to, somehow still make you feel inadequate. You need to consider that. Is it serving my purpose right now? Is it serving me? And in some cases, even if it's the best platform, even the best person, it might be time for you to unfollow based on your needs. So think about your interactions and think about, do they leave you feeling energized or drained? What are they doing for you and your purpose? The second area to consider is things. These are the physical objects in your life, right? The things in your life. Well, physical clutter is something that I think we all know, and it comes from so many sources. Whether we've run out of time and energy to handle the things, so they're all over the place, or we're collecting too much, or maybe we just have too much for the space that we're in to handle. Also, it can be that it's not in the right space. It's not meant to be where you currently have it. All of these different reasons can cause physical clutter. So, this is where it's essential to know the purpose of your space, whether it's your office or kitchen, like I mentioned before, or bedroom, or even a corner of the dining room. Wherever it is, you need to understand what you want to be doing there. And that can often tie back into your values, what you want for your family or whoever might be living with you. Or if it's just you, then it's like what your goals are and what's going on in your current time of life. It's why you need to think about the person that you are now. And I think that's so important because we can hang on to things from a different time and we need to consider where we are currently. Are you a person that needs the things that surround you? Do you feel like they honor your space or do they distract you and make you feel more frustrated than focused? You might be used to it, but it's good to take a look with fresh eyes and consider if your environment is really feeding into your goals and where you want to go and how you want to live. It's easy to hang on to things because you might use them. Clothes and shoes are very common. I mean, do you have things in your closet that no longer fit you or your lifestyle? Or maybe are worn to the point where it's probably not good to wear them and are less than inspiring? I know that this is an especially important thing to consider where budget is a concern, and it's hard to toss things from a practical standpoint. But consider if you're actually using them. Consider how much space they take up and the time that you use to move past them, to sort through the drawer, to go through the closet, to get to what you actually will wear and will use. Consider how those things that you hate to part with are taking up precious space and keeping you from a lovely new space that you could have, maybe with a new closet organizer or even something new that you might use more. You don't necessarily have to replace the things, but you need to consider that it's taking up precious real estate for how you want to be using the space. I know that for me, when I have too much and I'm only wearing a certain portion, we've talked about this before, the 80/20 principle, and then you can get 80% of the way to your results, your output from 20% of the input. Well, 80% of what you wear is only about 20% of your closet. So consider that the rest of that, you're only wearing 20% of it. The rest of it, you have to constantly move through, sort through. You pull it out, it goes on that questionable chair where things aren't necessarily ready for the laundry, but you're not ready to put them away again. And all of that can add to the morning scramble, add to the stress. That's what clutter does. It's a block and it gets in the way. Another example, perhaps you have a stack of books that you know you'll never read. It almost hurts my heart to use this as an example, but I need to because I know how many fellow bibliophiles I have. So please don't come at me. I am a book lover too. But it's important to consider how these items take up physical and mental space in your world. Now, if surrounding yourself with unread books that you know you're not going to get to anytime soon is inspiring, if it creates a backdrop you love, well, then it isn't clutter and it absolutely serves you. So there's your answer. Set up those bookshelves and vibe in a place that Belle from Beauty and the Beast would just absolutely adore. Okay. But if instead you're winding your way through boxes of unused and uncherished books, if you're not honoring the objects, if they are getting in the way, if they're making you feel guilty about what you're not doing. And I've had clients who've dealt with this before where they felt awful because they weren't reading those books. Well, we can make a list instead of the books that you do want to read, that wish list that can be set to the side. And when you're ready, you can possibly buy them again. But in so many instances, you can borrow them. Go to the library and get the book you need when you need it. And then the rest of the time, you're not feeling awful for seeing these books that are just, it's like they're whispering to you that you're not getting to this task. And that's an awful feeling. Don't let that happen. Instead, it's time to release them and make space for what matters. Make the room for reading the books that you do want to keep, for the times when you bring those other books in, or maybe something else that you want to be doing. All right, the third area is tasks. Let's look at that to do list. So many times we have task lists that are incredibly long and demanding. It comes from us doing that mind sweep or that brain dump and just putting it all out there. And I've talked a number of times on the show about this, about how our to do list sabotages us and how we need to go through and sort that and create a proper to do list. So I will link to an episode in the show notes that you can reference, but consider this. Way too often, these sabotaging lists are not really the list you need to be working from, not only because there are things that may belong in another space, like that you need to delegate or delay or don't even belong there, but that the things that you have on there are actually not really going to move the needle forward on the current goals that you have. You have to make sure that what you're doing matches up to where you want to be going. Your task list can serve you, though, conversely, by making space for things that you love to do. The right things done in a small amount, going back to that 80/20 principle concept, right, means that you can create space to do things like spend time with your family if that's something that you really value. So you'll want to watch for things like how much you're volunteering and where you could possibly delegate, places where it's too much for you, just realistically to do. And then also, You want to watch the tasks in terms of matching your energy. And this can vary on specific days too. So, to do lists for a specific day when you don't feel that well, when maybe you're sick. If you're a woman with a cycle, it can vary. Your energy is going to fluctuate. I have done episodes on the podcast about the built in productivity rhythm that we have in our bodies. So that's something that you have to consider, not only the task list for the day, but the tasks that you're doing at certain times. Again, you're trying to match it up right. And again, it's about, does this serve me? Do I have the energy for what I need to do? I understand that as adults, and adulting is like most days 0 out of 10, I do not recommend, but I understand there are many instances we have to do things we don't want to do. So I'm not talking about that. We need to take responsibility, we need to get things done. But I am saying that too often things build up automatically and we take on too much. There are opportunities in there I want you to intentionally look for where you can make different choices. Ultimately, you need to assess if your tasks are helping you be busy or helping you be productive. That busy trap is easy to fall into. So look to make sure that your tasks align with what really matters. The fourth area is thoughts. Every day, we face the world with thoughts about ourselves and others swirling around in our heads, and it creates a whole new level of mental clutter for us. Our thought patterns can be just as cluttering as physical items. Sometimes it's a response to what others are saying to us, sometimes it's our own view of what we're hoping and dreaming. We make up stories as to what someone's silence means. Ask me how I know. We make up stories about what the outcome might be of a chance that we take or something that we are planning to do. We have the mental load of running our lives, especially as caregivers, with this endless loop of to dos that we haven't even gotten on our task list, nor have we even considered if they belong, which I mentioned in the previous area. We overanalyze the tiniest changes and allow worry to seep into our lives. And I love the idea that worry potentially makes us suffer twice. If something comes to fruition, we'll suffer at that point, and then worry had us suffer once before. And then if what you're worried about doesn't happen, then you worried unnecessarily. Again, waste of energy. While I'm not saying that we shouldn't give careful thought to what's going on and make choices wisely, what I am saying is that you need to pay attention to those thoughts because they drive your action and inaction. Consider the thoughts that are holding you back. Do they have a place, or is it time to release them? Now, I realize when you ask yourself, does this serve me? It can bring up so many additional questions. Learning to ask yourself what you want and need may not be the norm for you. I think all too often, so many of my clients are like, I haven't even stopped to think about that. I'm on autopilot. I'm just going and I'm just trying to get things done and putting out fires in life and not stopping to think what I want. And do I even deserve that? There's a lot to unpack there, but it's incredibly important. And when you ask these questions, again, it could be that cluttering thought of, oh, do I even deserve this? Let that go. Trust your intuition. And remember, this is a process. It takes curiosity and it takes practice. It's a challenge to figure it out. Being patient with yourself is really key here. This is a big part of what I do as a coach because this is challenging. People are often surprised when I start with personal assessments as a productivity coach. They ask if we're going to review calendars and planners and task lists. We do, but not first. To start, you need to know more about you and what makes you tick. Your tendencies and personalities, strengths and values all feed into what you want out of life and how you can best reach those goals. When you are in alignment, life is more satisfying and more productive. Where can you start with all this? I have a resource for that. The Positively Productive Toolkit is a free collection of workbooks that guide you through self-discovery and self-awareness, helping you identify and assess different aspects of who you are. You'll find a core values workbook to walk you through what you value, the Joy List workbook to help you discover what you truly love to do, and to give you a way to create your own personalized guide to self-care and energy management. These things take minutes. And the Joy List is actually fun. I had a client one time who's like, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat down with the Joy List, and it was delightful. And then it makes it so much easier in the future to make little changes and create habits that can incorporate these things. Imagine being able to focus not only on what you have to get done, but a little bit more joy in your life, right? There's also an assessments workbook as well that includes links to all the assessments I use in coaching, all in one spot. You can click on them. All of these are free versions, and you can request this whole collection by going to the resources page of the Positively Productive website, where there are lots of free and lower priced resources. Or you can type in positivelyproductive.com/toolkit, and it'll go right to the landing page where you can request it. Releasing what doesn't serve you is not only essential for productivity, it creates space for what truly matters. By evaluating the people, things, tasks, and thoughts in your life, you can identify areas where clutter is not just a nuisance, but a block. Releasing what doesn't serve means releasing yourself from what holds you back. As you reflect on this, remember to approach it like a new habit. Start small, be patient with yourself, and celebrate every bit of progress you make. And I will be here, as always, cheering you on. Thank you for joining me today. Your time is precious, and I'm honored you chose to spend it with me. If you have feedback or questions, you can find me through the Connect page of the positivelyproductive.com website. And if you're looking for any of the resources mentioned here, from books to products to training and more, go to positivelyproductive.com/resources.